For over 2 decades, the Super Smash Bros. Series has been loved and enjoyed by millions of fans from around the world. Going all the way back to the 90s, with the release of Smash 64, there's always been a dedicated group of players trying to improve and reach the top of the summit. The competitive scene didn't begin to pick up steam until the release of the sequel to 64, Super Smash Bros. Melee, which was released on the GameCube in 2001. From early events at local GameStops, people's houses, and eventually the MLG circuit, the foundation for the competitive scene, at least in the United States, was set for years to come. In the US, the game is especially popular. You can go and find a Smash scene in practically every corner of the country. As someone who covers primarily Smash Ultimate and has competed in the game since the release, I asked the question last year, who's the best Ultimate player from every state? After lots of research, I came up with a list, and while there was definitely some errors within it, you all seemed to enjoy it. So I went through and researched every state again to come together with an even better list than last time. If there was a player on the ult rank, I chose them as a representative for their state. Otherwise, I went with their number 1 player or whoever from their scene is getting the best results in 2023. On their player cards, I try to keep their results relatively recent, but for players who aren't as active in the major scene, I had to travel back to get some of the results. Due to the sheer amount of research and work this video took, I'm splitting it into 2 parts. Going in alphabetical order, we're starting off with Alabama, where their number 1 player is Tavares, one of the United States' top Mario players. Formerly known as Chili Chili back in the Smash 4 days, Tavares has been competing in the Southeast since the early days of Smash 4, and was number 1 in Alabama for the majority of that title. He was only ranked outside of the number 1 a few seasons in Ultimate, but overall has remained on top of the state's competition. He's been especially strong recently, with a dominant record over everyone in the state. There's also Chunky, the Donkey Kong who's ranked on the ult rank, who's resided in Alabama for a while now, but Tavares has a dominant record over him, so I gave the nod to him. Out of one of the smaller scenes in the country, Waker is Alaska's number 1 player. Well, his sub-region's best player at least. The state is so big and spread apart population-wise, there's no main region, but Waker seems to be the best and most consistent player from the state. Outside of a 9th place at their biggest event of the year, Alaska Comic-Con, Waker has yet to drop a tournament in 2023, with winning records over all of the Fairbanks PR. The hero has yet to travel out of region, or even play in an online event, so I'm excited to see how they can do. There's also Sapiens, who isn't ranked in any part of Alaska, but has had consistently strong results throughout 2023, including a 2nd to Fatality at Alaska Comic-Con and a 5th at the recent event Show Me Your Moose, so maybe they're the best. Arizona's best player is the best puff in the world and fan favorite, BassMage. While Bass might not be the most active in the Arizona scene, he's easily the best and most active competitor from the state, having gone all over the US, Canada, and Europe and placed highly at all those events. If you want to learn more about BassMage, and no, I'm not pronouncing it wrong, that's the way I'm not even gonna bother. I had the chance to interview him where I asked him that and many more questions. Check the card above or the link in the description below. Choosing a specific player from Arkansas is a little tricky due to the state not having a centralized PR. Rather, they decided to have a central and northwest PR for their state, as it more accurately represents their scene. Lamp is the number 1 ranked player from Northwest Arkansas and Maine's Joker. The number 1 out of Central Arkansas is Terminus, a Cloud main. They have inconsistent results out of region, but Terminus seems to do better at bigger events. The two haven't played in months, but are currently 2-2 with each other, so it's hard to say. I'll let the comments decide. California is a huge state, and because of that, the state's competitive scenes are split into 2 major regions, Northern and Southern California, with a small Central California scene as well. NorCal's number 1 is Kurama, the best Mario in the world who was recently ranked number 11 on the ult rank. He's been competing in the region for a long time and was ranked behind Louis Money for a good period, but after a strong finish to 2022, Kurama has moved ahead. SoCal's best player is Tough. There's a lot of inactive competitors like Larry, Void, and Charlie who were really good back in the day. Currently though, it's most definitely Chase, a Palutena and Aegis player. Chase is one of the strongest and fastest rising competitors in the country in 2023. Just this year, he's picked up multiple major top 8s and gotten wins over players like Riddles, Light, Sonics, and more. The strongest out of Colorado is Snake Main Kronos. He was on the slow rise throughout 2021 and early 2022, getting his first notable win at Port Priority 6 where he was able to defeat Cola on winner's side. After that placement, he had some solid top 24 placements but broke out to the mainstream in late 2022 at Port Priority 7, being the only person at the event who was able to beat Tweak and ended up finishing 9th. He also had an amazing run to start the year at Genesis 9, but has cooled down a bit since then, still getting consistently strong results. But the number 93 on the ult rank is a player to stay on the lookout for the rest of the year. Initially, I was gonna put Light here for Connecticut. The highest ranked player from the US resided in Connecticut for years, but I guess he moved recently. No clue where, so sorry, he's just not gonna be included on this list. The number 1 player currently from Connecticut is top US Peach main, Ling. Link has been an active competitor and one of the strongest in the state since Smash 4, but really started making moves in 2022, getting ranked number 96 on the ult rank, and has been able to keep up those results in 2023. MPG is the best player from Delaware, but regularly competes in the Philadelphia scene and almost never attends locals in Delaware. Between the online and the local scene, MPG is easily one of the most active competitors in the game and one of the best Mega Man players in the world. He had his breakout performance at Apex 2022, where he went on a Cinderella run all the way to 3rd place. Since then, he's been looking even more consistent and even snagged the number 1 on the Philadelphia power ranking. The best in Florida has changed many times throughout ult's history. From ESAM to Myron to Mu-Ace, there's been a long list of competitors from the state. Currently, it's one of the best Robs in the world, Anathema. While he's always been an insane competitor, he began to make his mark in the post-pandemic era as one of the top Rob mains to watch out for. He shocked the world with one of Smash Ultimate's biggest losers runs at Rise and Grind, winning 11 sets in a row for 2nd place. Since then, Anathema has been a consistently strong competitor and one of the best Robs in the world, getting ranked number 23 on the ult rank. Georgia's number 1 is the king of the South and one of Ultimate's most explosive competitors, Salt1. Formerly known as Cola, the Roy main made his big breakout right before the pandemic, winning CEO, and since then has only seemed to be getting better. While he did earn the number 13 on the ult rank, Cola's growing frustrations towards the game has caused him to slow down in 2023, but his combination of Roy and Cloud makes him a contender to top 8 or even win any event he enters. All the way from the islands, we have Hawaii's best player, Small Left. While Void is still Hawaii's greatest homegrown prospect, Small Left has held the spot for the majority of Ultimate's lifespan. Originally a PT main, Small Left mostly focuses on Pyra and Mythra now, and has seen strong results with the character. He wins practically every event he enters in the state and has gotten strong results throughout the history of Ultimate at tournaments like the Big House 10 and Genesis 7. Pao has been the best player in Idaho since the Smash 4 days, being one of the strongest Pac-Man players in that title. In Ultimate, he's one of the best Steves in the Pacific Northwest, winning a majority of the tournaments that he enters in Idaho and has had some success out of region. He's taken both Leon and Dark Wizzy to close game 3s when they matched up. He also got top 8 this year at KawaiiCon, which he funnily enough just happened to be in Hawaii that weekend and his flight got delayed, so he stumbled upon the event and made it all the way to top 8. Chicago's finest, Ned, is the best player out of Illinois. He's held the title since Smash 4, being a top 50 level player in both games. He doesn't go to many locals, so he remains inactive from the PR, yet he always seems to be one step above the ever-growing Chicago Smash scene. With mostly Sephiroth, but a bit of PT as well, he started to make a name for himself as a consistent threat to top 8. Through the last year, he's won some very stacked regionals and got wins over players like Onin, Siski, Send, and more. Indiana's best player for a long time was Mysterica, but since moving to Florida, somebody had to take over the spot. The current number 1 is Wolfie, a Zero Suit Samus player who has slowly risen up the ranks through the course of 2022. They've been actively competing around the US in 2023, picking up better and better results as the years gone on. There's another player called Gromp or Cruel Angels Yeezus who's also from the state and has very strong results, but hasn't been active in the tournament scene since the end of 2022. I'm conflicted on who to choose when it comes to Iowa. On a global scale, Skittles is easily the number 1. He's a top Young Link player and number 88 on the ult rank, and has wins over players like Louis Money, BassMage, and more. Scar, on the other hand, is the current number 1 in the state. The Cloud main has an insanely skewed winning record against Skittles within the last year and wins practically every local event he enters in the state. He's even beaten out-of-state threats like Comet and Atata. He hasn't entered a major since 2021, which makes me lean towards Skittles, but let me know what you guys think in the comments. Out of Kansas, we have one of the US's top 3 Pac-Man players, Rocky. Kansas has other strong players like Toffee and Deathspade, but Rocky has been doing the best out of the region. With wins over players like Louis Money, Chag, Esam, Send, and Orion, the Pac-Man has only been getting better. He's traveled all around the country to different regionals and started off this year with a very strong 49th at Genesis 9. From Kentucky, we have not just Chicken, we have some really great Smash players as well. Their number 1 player is the 13-year-old high-level Kazuya player, Wilds. Wilds began competing in the online scene in 2021, and since coming to offline has been slowly on the rise. While being known as a strong player within the state, he took his talents to the next level at Ohio Regional SOS 8 in March. Wilds went on an insane run, beating Cosmos, Thos, Geist, Dark Wizzy, and Doorstop before getting double eliminated by Onin in Grand Finals. Since then, Wilds has maintained consistently strong results. Louisiana is a state that's also been giving me a lot of trouble when it comes to ranking. There's 3 players that are truly in contention for this spot. Lukewarm, formerly known as Kirby Kid, Zai and Jordan. So Zai has a winning record over Lukewarm, and Jordan has a winning record over both of them, but doesn't compete against them as often. Zai seems to be the most active at majors and places the best consistently, but Lukewarm also had a major top 8 last year with Solo K Rule. This is one I might have to leave up to the comments section. Shouts to Jordan for being the king shit talker on Twitter though. He wanted all the smoke with Chag and NaderOU and still be calling them out all the time, so shouts to you, man. No fear. From the easternmost state and one of the smallest scenes of the country, Maine, we have Mario Maine Shard. Shard has been competing in the state for a long time now, being PR'd multiple times, but's recently been on another level. He's won around 80% of the local tournaments he's entered in 2023, proving his dominance within the state. But with some shaky results at majors, the Mario player still has a lot of room to grow. Maryland's best player is Cloudmain Enhanced PV. Originally being a Wi-Fi warrior, he began competing offline right before the pandemic, and since returning to offline tournaments, he's been a killer in bracket. The last 6 months especially have been strong for him, getting second at the huge Arcadian tournament and even getting ranked number 100 on the ult rank. The ceiling is insanely high for him. Out of Massachusetts, we have the content creator extraordinaire himself, Mars. The former top 5 player was ranked number 36 on the ult rank, which is a lot player than we all know he can be. While he is inconsistent at times, Mars has continued to show that he's not a player to sleep on over and over again, including a win last year at Lost Tech City and one of, if not his best losers run he's ever been on at Genesis 9, beating H4, Nido Sharp, Big Boss, Leon, Siski, and capping it off with a win versus the Buzz before falling to Gluto for 9th. While Mars might not be on the same level as he once was, the ZSS is one hot stock away from unlocking Prime Mars. Onan became Michigan's #1 player and one of the fastest rises in Smash Ultimate history. Onan went from someone generally unknown to the #6 player on the ult rank with his extremely strong Steve play. He won 2 Midwest Regionals, Combo Breaker and Kloss, to put his name on the map in mid-2022, then a few months later went on to win Canadian Major Gommel 2022, then Super Smash Con 2022 a month later. In 2023, Onan's still the same beast. While he had a weak start to the year, he bounced back with an insane 4th place at Crown III, showing he's still in contention as one of the strongest in the world. Unfortunately, a lot of the community doesn't know how to separate character and player hate and harasses the kid constantly, which is stupid. This resulted in him taking an extended hiatus from competition once again. Minnesota is home to many underrated players. Their current best player, in my opinion, is Loaf, one of the United States' strongest Wario players. Loaf has been a strong competitor for all of Ultimate's lifespan, being a mainstay in top 8 of Midwest Regionals and one of the strongest players in his state since the release of the game. He's definitely seen some inconsistencies from time to time. Despite this, he's continued to travel around the US and pick up great placements and wins throughout 2023. Top American Belmont, Yosefu, has been Mississippi's best player for the majority of Smash Ultimate's lifespan. He gained a reputation in the online scene while still getting great results offline, but doesn't get much of a chance to travel outside of the Southeast. When Yosefu does, he never disappoints. After not going to a major in over 6 months, Yosefu came into Main Stage 2022 being seated outside of the top 64. He was able to upset one of Japan's best players, Ken, 3-2 in one of the biggest upsets of the whole event, and ended up getting 25th place. The best snake in the world and number 20 on the ult rank, ApolloKage, is the best player in Missouri. He has an insane winning rate in the state. And sit down before you hear this. He's won 98 of the last 100 events he's gone to with under 75 entrants. And let me say that again. 98 out of 100 of the last events that he's entered. That's insane. And he somehow found a way to get better at majors. Being one of the fastest rising stars in 2022, he went from a pretty good player to one of the best. His first big run was at Frosty Faustings in early February this year, where he almost took the event home, losing a Game 10 Grand Finals to Riddles. Yet, he conquered everybody else along the way. Then, at Ultimate Summit 6, he went on one of the most unexpected runs of the weekend, defeating MKLeo 3-0 and Reverse 3-0 in Gluttony, proving that he can get it done with the very best of the best. Thank you all so much for watching the first part of the Best Player from Every State 2023 edition. I truly appreciate it. This video has taken so much time to put together. So if you could please drop a like, tell me how wrong I am in the comment section, share it with a friend, share it with a player that's mentioned on this list, anything, man, I'd really appreciate it. The next part should be coming out relatively soon, so stay on the lookout. YouTube thinks that you're really gonna like the video on the top, but me personally, I feel like the bottom one's a little more your style. You should go find out though and go watch both of them. Until next time, guys.